Do you believe that the NIH or Dr. Fauci lied to the American people about COVID?
And this is not my area of expertise.
What is your area of expertise? And you're here for what reason? Did they all survive?
We have no idea
Okay.
this has stuck with me ever since I wrote that book.
Gentlemen, how many people do you think died through the MKUltra program? Is this a massive cover-up by the U.S. government?
It's certainly a cover-up of what happened in the past.
Recognize Representative Mace from South Carolina for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Dr. Genexi, you work with the NIH, correct?
No, I am no longer affiliated with the NIH.
When did you leave the NIH?
April of last year.
April of last year. Did you ever speak with Anthony Fauci or any of your NIH colleagues when you were there about the NIH's role in funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology or the development of COVID-19 virus?
No.
Do you believe that the NIH or Dr. Fauci lied to the American people about COVID?
No.
Are you familiar with Dr. Fauci's statements to Congress about COVID?
No.
You didn't watch any of Dr. Fauci. You worked at the NIH and you didn't watch any of Dr. Fauci's.
No, I did not work at NIAID.
Okay. Do you think that the COVID shots harm American citizens?
No, I do not.
Do you think that the COVID shots cause turbo cancers?
No.
Have you read any, do you know if the NIH or NIAID track COVID shot injuries or cancers or anything harmful from them?
I am not aware of any harmful tracking, and this is not my area of expertise, no.
What is your area of expertise?
I'm a research psychologist, and I did not work at NIAID.
And you're here for what reason?
I am here to testify about what is happening to the NIH right now.
You're not here to testify about MKUltra?
I am not an MKUltra expert,
Why did the Dems send you here if you're not an MKUltra expert?
but I am an expert in human subjects protection, which is related, and in the conduct of human subjects research.
Okay. But you don't know anything about MKUltra, which is the purpose of this hearing. All right, so I have a couple questions for our witnesses who are here to talk about MKUltra, and thank you, gentlemen, Dr. Kinzer and Mr. O'Neill. What are some of the worst abuses that you're aware of in the MKUltra program?
I can start by just naming, I'll talk about one in particular that always sticks in my mind. In the federal prison in Lexington, Kentucky, a group of African-American inmates was segregated and fed what were described in the protocol as double, triple, and quadruple doses of LSD every day for 77 days.
Did they all survive?
We have no idea
Okay.
what happened to them. This has stuck with me ever since I wrote that book. What happened to them? Did they ever find out what was given to them? Did they think they were going crazy? I think if the...
Do you think we're still experimenting on prisoners or people in prison today?
I don't have any information about that.
Okay.
I'm hoping there'll be another book about
Mr.
what's
O'Neill,
happening now.
what are some of the worst abuses in MKUltra?
There were many. The Frank Olson case, which was referenced earlier, that was a murder. I don't believe that was a suicide. And the motivation was because he was going to be a whistleblower. He worked at the CIA. He worked in the development of biological weapons, and he was planning to go public and announce that the United States government was using biological weapons in the Korean War. And also, he was going to share what he knew about MKUltra experiments, including lethal experiments. And there's a documented case.
How many, gentlemen, how many people do you think died through the MKUltra program or were murdered?
No idea.
If those who died largely were outside the United States, many people were experimented to death in that safe house in Germany that I visited, and people in the neighborhood told me they knew what was going on in that house, and that people who were experimented to death are now buried in what used to be forest plots that are now covered over with
Do you think the
apartments.
German government knew what the U.S. government was doing? Do you think there was a partnership there or knowledge?
Yes. There is a memo that was written by the German Secret Service to Konrad Adenauer, the Chancellor of Germany, telling him Americans are here capturing citizens, capturing people and conducting extreme experiments which are in violation of German law. And Adenauer decided to put that aside and not to
I
investigate
have one more
further.
question because I have 15 seconds. Is this a massive cover-up by the U.S. government?
It's certainly a cover-up of what happened in the past.
Mr. O'Neill?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, Representative Mace.
Acknowledge Ms. Boebert for the next round of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to two of our witnesses who are here to actually talk on our subject here today. Mr. Kinzer, in your book, Poisoner in Chief, you describe how Project MKUltra was authorized by CIA Director Alan Dulles in April of 1953 as an umbrella program for research into the covert use of biological and chemical materials for mind control and interrogation. What specific geopolitical and intelligence concerns, particularly regarding alleged Soviet and Chinese, quote, brainwashing and Korean War prisoners, drove this authorization? And how did Cindy Gottlieb's unique background and personality and worldwide view shape the program's direction and methods and ethical boundaries?
Let me start by answering your second question about Gottlieb. He was a very different person from all of the other senior CIA officers of that era. Most of them came from silver spoon backgrounds. They went to the same prep schools and the same Ivy League colleges and belonged to the same yacht clubs and worked for the same law firms and international banks. Sidney Gottlieb was the son of Orthodox Jewish refugees from Central Europe. He had a limp. He had a stutter. He went to Hebrew school. He was so different from all of the other officers. And upon reflection, I think this may not have been an accident. I think that people at the CIA understood that whoever had this job was going to be doing some awful, terrible things that would be very bloody, that they might become known, and it might be necessary to blame it all on somebody. And they didn't want to have to blame it all on one of their own. So Gottlieb actually became the person on whom everything was blamed. In fact, when he testified in secret here in Congress in the 1970s, he complained that there were documents on which various signatures had been redacted, but his alone had remained. So again, is a way of diverting attention away from the institutional responsibility of the CIA and trying to blame it on one crazy person. As for the international situation at the time, I think it's very important to understand this because there is a sort of a parallel to today. The CIA misinterpreted several key incidents in the world, including those to which you referred, the trial of the Cardinal Mindszenty, and then in Hungary, and then the return of Korean War prisoners. Neither of those episodes really had to do with mind control, but in the CIA, they were interpreted that way. And this gave the CIA a reason to pretend that its research was purely defensive. So I think when you consider the world situation and the sense in Washington that we're surrounded by enemies, that becomes a very dangerous environment. Conspiracy theories stem from the growth of the covert sphere. There's a great contradiction in American life that we pretend to uphold certain principles at home and abroad, but it's evident to many Americans that we actually operate in opposition to those principles. And we operate by secret and anti-democratic means. That contributes to suspicion of government. And the very existence of MKUltra proves that some of the wildest fantasies about secret government research are actually close to reality.
Mace opened by doing something devastating. She established exactly who this witness was and why they had no business testifying. The witness couldn't answer. They claimed to be an expert in human subjects protection, but they knew nothing about MKUltra. They knew nothing about the abuses. They knew nothing about the deaths. They were sent by Democrats to deflect, and Mace called them out. That question hung in the air. The witness had no response, because the answer is obvious. Democrats didn't want the truth. They wanted a distraction. Then Mace turned to the real witnesses, the ones who actually knew what happened. The answer was chilling. 77 days, double, triple, quadruple doses, human beings treated like lab rats, and the government did nothing. Then Mace asked the question that left the room silent. The witness had no idea, no answer, no estimate, nothing. Decades of government experimentation, decades of abuse, and nobody kept track of the bodies. Let that sink in. People experimented to death, buried in unmarked graves, covered over by forest. The United States government conducted lethal experiments on human beings, and then they hid the bodies. Mace pressed further. A memo, proof that foreign governments knew, proof that the U.S. government was violating international law, and nobody did anything. Then Mace asked the question that exposed everything. Two witnesses, both agreeing. A massive cover-up, decades of lies, and the Democrats sent a psychologist to talk about COVID. The witness had tried to hide behind technicalities. I'm not an MKUltra expert. I didn't work at NIAID. This is not my area of expertise. But Mace wasn't buying it. She exposed the Democrat strategy. Send a witness who knows nothing about the actual subject. Let them deflect. Let them dodge. Hope nobody notices. But America noticed. The American people noticed that Democrats are more interested in protecting government institutions than exposing government crimes. More interested in defending the bureaucracy than defending the victims. More interested in covering up the past than uncovering the truth. The witness finally admitted they were a research psychologist, not a medical doctor, not a scientist. Not an expert in biological weapons, a psychologist, sent to testify about a program that experimented to death on human beings. That is not oversight, that is a setup, and Mace exposed it. The mainstream media will not show you this hearing. The establishment does not want you knowing what the government did. They do not want you asking questions, so you need to share this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. What Nancy Mace did in that hearing is what every American wishes Congress would do. She asked the hard questions. She exposed the witness, and she refused to let the government hide behind bureaucracy. She asked how many people died. Nobody knew. She asked if it was a cover-up. Everyone agreed. She asked why a psychologist was testifying about MKUltra. The Democrats had no answer. The truth is this. The U.S. government conducted lethal experiments on its own citizens. They covered it up. They buried the bodies. And decades later, they still refuse to acknowledge what happened. Mace forced them to acknowledge it. She exposed the Democrat strategy of deflection, and she reminded the American people that some of the wildest conspiracy theories are actually close to reality. Smash that like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next breakdown.